Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Ivy. Today, if you can't tell by my festive shirt, we are talking about Valentine's Day book recommendations. If you are like me and love Valentine's Day, I don't know what it is about Valentine's Day. I don't know if it's the colors or like the hearts or I don't know. The fact that it's made up, I love it. I love Valentine's Day. Last year, I really tried to read romance books and watch on theme movies and just immerse myself in the rom-com. So I came up with some very niche Valentine's Day book recommendations. Half recommendations and then half TBR books that I kind of would love to get to this Valentine's Day season. I definitely won't get to all of them, but hopefully a couple I will get to. So let's just start right off. So if you need that emotion brought out of you to really love a book, look no further. It is time to pick up If He Had Been With Me. This will bring so much emotion out of you. I bawled through probably at least this much of it. I just loved this book so much. I also think that if you want that, if you want to reminisce and heal your inner middle school, high school self, read this book. So many things in this book just reminded me of what it was like for me in middle school and friend groups and relationships and kind of your first loves. And again, this will bring the emotional pull out of you. This book is very YA. There are some things in here that aren't the best literature wise, but this book is just so good. This follows Autumn and Finney, and they grew up next to each other. They were next door neighbors and their moms are best friends. So they're constantly going over to each other's houses for dinner. They're constantly going over to each other's houses to kind of be babysat by the other one's mom, and they're best friends. And then when they get into early high school, I believe, she's in one friend group and he's in another friend group. And hi, Bubby. Hi. Don't touch the camera. He wants to play. They're at this kind of awkward position where we're friends but we're not in the same group socially, so we're not really friends kind of thing. And it just goes throughout their whole relationship. The new one in Finney's POV actually comes out today, the day that I'm filming this, and I should be getting it in the mail soon. I'm very, very excited to read it. But that is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. So you could just watch To All the Boys I've Loved It Before. If you guys watch my channel, you'll know that those books were not for me. I did not love them. The first one's okay, so if you want to give the series a shot, I think the first one's okay. But I think To All the Boys I Loved Before is the perfect Valentine's Day movie. The songs are immaculate. The essence of the movie is immaculate. Laura Jean is literally Valentine's Day personified, and I just love the vibe of that movie. So if you want a book with that similar vibe but don't want to read To All the Boys I Loved Before series, put on the To All the Boys I Loved Before playlist and pick up The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This is a Groundhog Day type of trope where she gets stuck in Valentine's Day and she just keeps waking up and it's Valentine's Day over and over and over and over again. It is just the perfect YA rom-com. I feel YA books often touch on harder subjects like family dynamics and just kind of coming of age and how hard it is to be that age. We touch on that in this book. We also just get this really beautiful friendship between the couple in this book. A lot of people think that the Groundhog Day trope is repetitive. I personally did not think that this one repeated enough to get super boring. I also read this in a day. Most of these books that I'm recommending to you, I read in a day. So if you want a book to binge Valentine's Day weekend, I promise you can binge one of these because I'm not a quick reader. But I think also since I read this so quickly, it wasn't every time I was picking up, it was getting more and more repetitive. That is The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. Now, if you don't want to spend your entire day stuck on the couch reading a book, but you still want to read a fun, beautiful little romance, read one of the Heartstopper books. If you have not read these books, Read these books. These books are so quick. You could buy all 5 of them and read them in a day. They are so much fun. I feel like despite the fact that there's so little reading actually to be done in these books, I feel so connected to the characters and like I know the characters so well. Again, this is another high school romance, so I just feel like it kind of heals your little inner child. This follows Charlie and Nick, and I believe in this first book they're really just kind of figuring out their dynamic as friends. Charlie is openly gay and Nick is just like not quite sure, and it's just such a good story about kind of growing up and coming of age and learning who you are and falling really in love for the first time. I love listening to music while I read. A couple of years ago now, I think it was 2 years ago, I put on an amazing playlist on Spotify, and this one particular song called Love in the Dark by Adele played while I was reading this book. And now I cannot think of these characters without thinking of this song, and vice versa. I cannot listen to the song without thinking about these characters. It just fits them so well. It is just the most beautiful love. He is so obsessed with her. The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. This is Antony's book. It is the second book in the Bridgerton series, but they are all interconnected standalones. You do not need to read the first one to be able to jump right into this one. This one, in my opinion, is the best one. I can't even think about this couple without crying. I don't even want to talk about it. I will say that if you're obsessed with that season of the show, I went into this being obsessed with that season of the show. Just kind of think of this as like, this is Kate and Antony, but in a parallel universe. Like, this could have happened within their relationship because it is very different than the show. And I don't want you to not like this because you like the show, and I don't want you to dislike the show because you wish it would have turned out like this. I also wanted to give an honorable mention to An Offer from a Gentleman. This one also kind of really fits Love in the Dark. I think that Kate and Antony show fits this song, and then them in this book, specifically Sophie in this book. This one's really, really good. I remember just binging this one. This follows Benedict and Sophie. This is the 3rd book in the series, and they're kind of like the forbidden love story out of the Bridgerton series because she is, I believe, a maid, and they fall in love, and it is just, it's so good. I need to picture someone in my head as a character, and I typically love a book so much more if I can picture a specific person in my head. And you best believe the entire time I read this book, it was Glen Powell. This book is the definition of the perfect rom-com. This feels like you are watching a rom-com. It is just the funniest, cutest book, and I think what's so great about this one specifically that I think a lot of rom-coms I personally struggle with is that they have such good chemistry in this book. Like, it's funny and silly and cheesy, and yet I believe the characters' affection for each other so much. This follows Hallie and Jack, and I think they randomly hook up at a wedding or a work event, something like that. They randomly hook up, go their separate ways, and people in their life keep kind of urging them to get back out there and to get on dating apps. And they find each other on dating apps and just kind of start messaging each other, goofing off, oh, we're so desperate, blah, 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 saying about how dating is so hard. They start exchanging these horror dating stories, and they're like, look, I don't have any interest in you, but why don't we set dates up for the same night? If they go bad, we can just text each other, and we can go to the bar across the street and get drinks and appetizers and decompress about our date. And it is just so fun. If you're I don't really want to read about mushy gushy love. I want toxicity. I want to read about a relationship where maybe they shouldn't be together. I have phenomenal recommendations for you. If you want more of a everyday life, snippet of life type of book about two characters who are kind of crossing each other's paths, Normal People. This book I haven't read. I think I read this book this was like one of the first books I read when I got back into reading. I really need to do a reread. It deserves a reread. So many people love this book. So many people are obsessed with this couple. This book is also, I think, under 300 pages, so it's easy, binge in a day, perfect. I don't even know if I would call this toxic love, but it's just not your typical love story. I meant to do that from the beginning, but forgot, so hopefully we don't hate that the continuity isn't continuing. The next book I have is 100% Toxic Love, and that is Tell Me Lies. This one is definitely more of a, if you don't want the romance like shoved in your face and you want more of a character study specifically on the female character, I think this is a really good pick for you. This one is a bit longer. I think this is the longest book we have on this list, or maybe one of the 2 Bridgerton books, but all 3 of those books, the longer ones, are quite bingeable. I read this in, I believe, like two sittings. This book just consumed me. This book reminded me of all of the toxic relationships that I witnessed in high school. Obviously, I think everyone, maybe not everyone, the majority of people when they're that young are going to have toxic behaviors, but I don't think personally I was in ever like a horrible relationship, but I witnessed a lot of them in high school just from friends or from my peers. This book just reminded me so much of those toxic relationships in high school, and I don't know why, but this book consumed me. I think about this book all of the time, honestly. The cover is also amazing, and like, look how cute and Valentine's Day I look. It's perfect. Now let's talk just quickly through about my TBR. These were some books that I was going to try to read really quick to include in this video, but then I couldn't force myself. The one I really wanted to finish before I filmed this video was How to Fall Out of Love Madly. I really felt like I kind of missed a recommendation here for a book that's kind of on theme with the Valentine's Day, the love, but is more centered around women and maybe not so much about relationships. And this book, I just can tell already that would have been my recommendation for that category had I have finished it. So this book follows 3 different women, and they're all kind of connected to each other in life, and it just follows their struggles as a woman, and specifically in relationships where they are giving and getting nothing back. So if you feel like that is where you were at this Valentine's Day, I highly recommend this book. Again, the cover is so on theme, it's insane. Like, this cover is so cute. Hopefully I will finish it soon, and hopefully I do like the rest of it so I didn't give you guys a bad recommendation. Another book I would love to read this Valentine's Day season, so many people read this last year and I just never did, and that is X's and O's by Amy Leah. This follows a girl who just doesn't feel like love has ever worked out for her, and I think she needs like a date or something to a Valentine's Day ball or something like that, so she messages all of her exes and is like, hey, like, why did we break up? Something like that. That's really all I know about it. I know he's a firefighter and she is a booktuber. This is the second book in a series of interconnected standalones. The first one is Set on You, which I did read and I quite enjoyed, and if you've already read X's and O's and liked it and want something similar, I would suggest Set on You. The Catch, the 3rd one in the series, is also coming out, I believe, this month or maybe early March. Another book I would love to get to soon, which again is like another romance book that has more in it than just romance, which you guys will kind of find is like my cup of tea, is The 2.5 Lives of Lydia Bird. This will be my second Josie Silver book, and this follows Lydia, and she is with her, I believe it's her fiance named Freddie, and they've been together forever and they're the perfect couple, and everybody, it's like Lydia and Freddie, Freddie and Lydia, they are like the couple. And he ends up passing away, I believe, in like a motorcycle accident, and we follow her as she's kind of trying to get back out there in the dating scene, and then she starts seeing Freddie and talking to Freddie. I believe it goes back and forth between like what her life could be and then what her life could be like with Freddie. But again, I haven't read this, so I could be wrong. I also would love to pick up Mr. Wrong Number. This follows the guy in The Love Wager's sister, and I remember thinking that this couple in The Love Wager was so funny and cute, and I just really want to pick up another Lane Painter book. I found that her adult romances are much more my cup of tea than her young adult. This one I'm ashamed to not have read yet. Ashamed, because this would have been perfect for the Glen Powell category. This is The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren, and this follows a very similar plot line to Set It Up on Netflix with Zoe Deutsch and Glen Powell, where they set up their bosses together. This one, I believe their bosses are basically like Melissa and Doug. No, not Melissa and Doug. What am I talking about? Melissa and Doug's the toy company, right? Melissa, is that her name? I'll put like a picture of them up. They're like the people who renovate houses. I think it's like a mixture of that and then like Set It Up. But this would have been perfect for my Glen Powell category, so I really wanted to read it before I filmed this video, but we just didn't get it done. And then the last little romance book that I would love to read soon is Where the Rainbow Ends. This is a very old copy of what I now believe is sold as Love, Rosie. Love, Rosie is probably my favorite movie ever. This is the book that it's based on, and this follows Rosie and Alex, I think from the time that they're like 5 till the time that they're like in their 40s, I think. And it's just this love story about how they're constantly just missing each other. And the movie is spectacular. So if the book is anything like the movie, I know I will love it. Okay, you guys, those are all of the recommendations I have for you today and a couple of romance books that are on my TBR. I hope you found something that you can binge this Valentine's Day. Get up, make yourself a fun little latte, or go grab a latte and a little on-theme donut. You can sit down, binge your book throughout the day, and in the evening get together with your friends or your boyfriend and you can watch Valentine's Day. That is, if you're not watching Valentine's Day every Valentine's Day, you are missing out, because that movie is spectacular and will honestly finish off any of these books quite nicely. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!